I think we'll be okay, Zach. Oh yeah, that's right. That's a good call. Good call. I can't see it. I mean, I can kind of see it, but it's so murdered from the viewing angle. Like I just look like a ghost.
Well, I mean, I guess you just kind of have to have a lot of faith in me.
I believe in you. I believe in you. Which, by the way, welcome everybody on Education Station with the new set.
Hey, yo.
Yo, let's go. It's gonna be sick.
I think that this is like the closest I've gotten my shot to being like
the ideal.
The ideal.
I think so. Yeah. I think we've gotten pretty close. By the way, if you didn't know already, I'm Arthur. Hello. I forget. We got to do it. Everything is a little thrown off, but you know, the vibes are immaculate right now. I think.
Yeah.
This is Zach, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Zach.
Yes.
Title card.
Title card.
Or
no, name card. Name card. Title.
Name.
Lower third, Zach. Please use the correct term.
Lower third.
Lower third. I'm gonna crack open a cold beverage real quick because it is time. It's not a cold beverage. Well, it's a cold beverage by nature, but
yeah,
it's not an icy beverage if that makes sense.
It's a cold caffeinated beverage.
Have you opened your coffee yet, Zach?
No, because I'm still working on my other caffeinated beverage.
You're right. Well, air cheers.
Oh wait. Yeah. I wonder if I can make it happen.
Oh, let's see. Yeah. To the new set.
Yeah.
So, in case you didn't, I know what you're thinking. Arthur, Zach. I don't know. Where have the episodes been? I know. But then you take a look around and then you see things are a little different and you're about to see, you're not going to see it yet. You're not going to see it yet, but when we start having some more guest appearances, the vibes will be a little bit more different than it once was. And I think it'll be a little bit more, I think what we're going for is more casual, right? I think what we're going for is something a little bit more like, not necessarily, I don't know, because it's hard to get a reference of how big the room is or the size of the room just by looking through the lenses that we used for the podcast. But in general, like the desk just right here, it used to be right here. It honestly was kind of in the way. Like it took up a lot of space, and oftentimes you'd have to go around to do I would have to go around and do weird things to get to my gaming setup, Zach. I couldn't play my Genshin Impact, Zach, without having to play some Tetris IRL. It wasn't pretty.
And I think it's kind of symbolic because now you're in the corner that I was in, basically for the entire existence of this show. But it really did.
And then your shot got a glow up.
Bro, my shot got a spectacular, amazing glow up.
Well, it's crazy because this is the first time that my music set that I built is in camera.
Yeah. I
haven't even shot a piano. Well, I have shot a piano, some piano things, some piano tweets on my piano in that corner, but I haven't, not with the whole, all that and all this and all the shelving and such. So yeah, it's a cool look, you know. I'm kind of jealous, but you know, you deserve it. You're in the driver's seat, so you're manning a lot of things right now. Yeah.
So, I guess for transparency's sake, I kind of have taken over the production side of things. Hence the reason why I have a little cart right here with all of that fun stuff. And so if I end up messing it up, then you guys have someone to blame in the comment section, which I guess is kind of cool.
Thank God. Thank God. It used to be me. Now it's that.
Thank God it's me. But yeah, so the last couple weeks have been really interesting because I've been kind of AWOL. So basically what happened was I went to California for a couple days, and then after that I ended up getting sick. And it wasn't COVID. I ended up getting tested probably 3 or 4 times, and it wasn't COVID, but I ended up being sick for like a week solid. And you know, before that I was working my ass off. My parents weren't home. I was like taking care of the animals and all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so one of the things that I really wanted to talk about was my trip to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Because that trip was a trip. Like, it was an acid trip. Yeah, it was really, really weird and really fun at the same time.
Well, let's hear it. A story time with Zach. Zach, you have the driver's seat.
Zach's corner. Well, it's not really a corner anymore. It's like a, you know.
I'm in the corner. I'm in Zach's corner now.
Yeah. Arthur's in Zach's corner. So I'm trying to think kind of where to start. So me traveling to California was like one of only a handful of times that I've really traveled by myself. And so it was a little bit weird. Obviously I made it there and, you know, there wasn't anything too crazy that happened. But I ended up beating everyone there because both of my parents were driving down from San Diego. And then both of my brothers were driving in from Las Vegas. And so we were all kind of converging at around the same time. And so I ended up getting there probably like 3 or 4 hours before anybody else. And so I was alone. I wasn't able to get into my room because my room wasn't ready yet. And I also wasn't able to go to any of the parks because I didn't have a ticket, because we weren't planning on going to the parks that day.
Right.
And so what ended up happening was I was kind of in this Disneyland limbo where there were only like a handful of things that I could do. And I ended up having the people at the front desk kind of hold on to my bag, so I wasn't just wandering around with a suitcase,
right,
just looking all sad and dejected. And I just ended up wandering around for a while. I went and got coffee, and I was just hanging.
Just in Cali?
Yeah, just
in Cali,
in the resort. Like I didn't even go anywhere. I was just at the hotel, just chilling out. And I was sitting on a bench, and I was just kind of hanging out, sitting, scrolling on my phone. And this whole scene kind of converged on me, right? So there was this guy who, I'm going to adjust my mic really quick. Sorry for the noises. Oh, there we go. So this guy ended up kind of walking into my general direction, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And basically he ended up being followed by like 5 police officers.
Oh. And
this guy just got like, he
sounds like Cali.
Yeah, so cops ended up surrounding him, and they were within like 10 feet of me. And so I was just sitting there on my phone, minding my own business, and these guys were just like, apparently he had been wanted for something. I don't really know. There was a warrant out for his arrest or whatever the hell. And so I was just sitting there. I was just hanging out. And then I just watched like, a bunch of Anaheim Police Department, Disneyland security, Disney police, basically. And just like a whole bunch of people just like converging on this one little area where I was.
Nice.
And it was just the funniest thing. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm at the happiest place on earth, and I just watched someone go to jail.
Oh, you feel the magic, Zach. You feel the magic. I know I feel the magic.
Well, I mean, it the juxtaposition between all of the things that were going on in like in the resort outside of this one isolated incident. And then this guy was with a girl, and the girl was crying and freaking out, like, what the hell is going on? Like, what happened? Like, what did he do? Like, what's going on? Why are you arresting him? And all of this kind of stuff. And I was just sitting there watching, and I was like, oh, this is bizarre. And then I just went about my day after that. Like, straight up, there was nothing I could do about it. So I was just kind of like, all right, whatever, it be what it be. And then I ended up going to a bar. And just kind of hanging out, having a drink, having some dinner. And then finally my family showed up. And I was like, woo, yay, fun. Yeah, and so I can kind of take a break from telling stories, because I think I have like 2 or 3 that I would like to tell.
Yeah, from Zach's adventure in Cali. I haven't been in Cali in like forever. I feel like, well, if out of the 2 of us, you probably would go more than I do, because you kind of travel. I mean, do you have family in Cali?
So it's
kind of sort in the family around. So we ended up just going to Cali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister. Okay, to explain this in a way that actually makes sense. So my sister's paternal grandmother, who is my mom's ex-husband's.
Oh, it's getting weird. What's getting wild.
Yeah. So, my sister's dad's mom.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I understand, yes.
Okay. So her, like, she passed away. And so Erica and Bryce, my two of my older siblings, they ended up getting the house. And so basically they're turning it into like basically an Airbnb for family and friends and everything like that.
Okay.
And so my parents hadn't been there before, and my parents were traveling around and everything like that. And so they decided to go to San Diego. And so that's why everyone was in San Diego and I wasn't, because I had work.
Right.
And so I had work. I had a day to get my life together, and then I left.
Right.
So yeah, that's why everyone was in San Diego. But I don't really go to California that often.
Okay. How many times have you gone in total?
Maybe like half a dozen times.
It's more than me. I've gone, I think, 3 times, I think, at this point. I think I've gone once when I was young, very young Nuki days. That's where I got my lightsabers. But I remember there was a section after a lightsaber, or after a Star Wars, I don't know, ride? I don't really remember, but there was some sort of Star Wars thing, and you could build your own lightsaber, which was cool. But I think that was more universal because Disney hadn't acquired Star Wars yet, I don't think.
Yeah, that was
way back. Many, a long time ago in a place far, far away, Zach.
Right.
Anaheim, California. And then the next time I went was probably, I don't know, maybe I was like 10 or so, 12 or so. And then I went again by myself to go to the Anaheim, MLG Anaheim, MLG.
Oh, yeah.
I talked about that in a bit ago. You can watch that episode. I think it was recently. I think it was the meeting celebrities episode, and we had Damian Lillard, thumbnail W. W.
Yeah, I used to go when I lived in Las Vegas. I used to go around Christmas time, just go to the park, go to Disney, and do the whole holiday festive experience at Disney. Just because my aunt works at Disney, and she used to be able to get us free park tickets all the time.
Oh, of course. Then you got to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't tell me that I shouldn't go.
Yeah.
If I'm just like, oh, I have a park hopper pass. Well, I mean, it's a Thursday afternoon. I can't do that. Like, fucking no.
When in Rome,
dance like Romans. Yeah. And so I used to do that a lot. And then I went to Disney for a school trip.
School trip?
Yeah.
Wait, like when you were in Vegas?
No, in high school.
What? Oh, for band and stuff?
Yeah, so
okay,
so that trip was really cool.
Hey guys, English class, English 1. Let's go to California for a field trip. We can study the language of Disney.
We can study the language of LA. Yeah, so when we went for the Disney, or when we went for the band trip,
right,
we ended up going to LA and also Anaheim. And so there were a couple different instances where we ended up actually seeing like 2 guys get into a fist fight while we were on the bus. And, you know, we were on like, I think it was like Hollywood Boulevard or something like that.
Lovely.
And we were getting back on the bus, you know, everyone was like, oh, I need to get souvenirs. Meh. And so everyone went into the little touristy shops and everything like that. And we ended up getting back on the bus and we were getting ready to leave. And these 2 guys just started like going at it. Like they were just like beating the shit out of each other. And
do you know the reason?
No idea.
No, they're just Cali things.
Yeah. Just LA things. And it was, I think the funniest part is that I heard them screaming at each other, and I looked at one of my buddies and I was like, oh, I have a feeling that we're about to see a fist fight. And then they just started like
going
wailing on each other. And that was hilarious. And yeah, the rest of that trip was pretty cool. Now I'm gonna sound like I'm super well traveled when I'm not. Like,
see, I think you are. Okay, not well traveled.
Context.
By context, by comparison, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because to me and my family, we never go nowhere.
Yeah.
So we don't go a lot. But I feel like the reason why you say that and the reason why I think that is I think that is because as I talk to, like, for example, maybe my coworkers, for example, I would speak to them and they would talk about like going to here and going to there and doing this and that every year or so, you know, I'm going to visit family here, and next year I'm going to visit family there, or in a couple of months I'm going to visit family here, you know, and some families I'm going to visit down there. I don't know. And, you know, I'm like, what, dude? But the reason, right, is because all my family is here.
Right.
Like all of them. If they're not here, they're in Laos.
Right.
No one's going to Laos, Zach. I'm
All
sorry.
right, guys, let's go to Laos and try not to get murdered.
Yep. Well, you're not going to get murdered, Zach. You're just going to it's just going to be really hot, Zach. And hot for a different reason, because it's Asian hot. But then again, I learned that Southeastern Asian hot is different from North Asian hot, because I've heard about the Japanese summers. I've heard a lot about the Japanese summers, and it scares me. And it's why I'm really glad that we didn't go in summer, because I don't think we would have had a good time. I still want to go though, but
We're going to go.
We're going to go. We just gotta find the time. But I think what's gonna happen is maybe, I don't know, maybe after I'm done with school, because I'm going back to school. That's the plan. I haven't registered yet, and fall is coming up. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat right now.
Yeah, so I'm like, I need to, but then I have to I gotta ask, because I'm going to be transferring from WSU to Clark, which is our community college nearby, because I don't really need a bachelor's. Y'all know how I feel about school. I'm just gonna finish with the 2-year and then dip, just to get a degree on myself, you know, and then do what I gotta do. But that means I probably have to get in touch with my WSU advisor, to get in touch with the Clark advisor. Yeah, it's things that can probably just be handled in like 1 or 2 days, but it's like, I'm so busy and I've been doing all of this and, you know, trying to get more unedited episodes up and going to work and stuff. So it's a lot, but I think around pretty soon we should be able to get something going. And I think probably after I'm done with school, and maybe you're done with school, or maybe if we can find time sometime between, I think it'd be sick. And hopefully that'll be sometime like fall or spring and not summer.
Yeah. Yeah, there are certain places that, like, in my travels, I will avoid like the plague when it comes to going there in the summertime. Las Vegas is one of them, for obvious reasons.
Of course.
Florida for obvious reasons. California for obvious reasons. And I mean, I think when I went most recently, I kind of went at a perfect time, because we kind of had a late onset of summertime weather in the West, like near the West Coast. And so it wasn't really too intolerable. And so that was cool. Okay. So
Yes.
segue. Harsh segue time.
Okay,
So-
sure.
Okay. Have you heard of a place called Club 33?
So you sent me a Snapchat. You said, yo, I'm in Club 33. And I said, wow, that's cool. I don't know what that means necessarily, because I have not heard of it. But it looked like you were dressed up,
Yes.
and Snapchat had like a thing for it.
Yeah.
So it had to be somewhere important. So I just kind of I saw it and I was like, I don't know what that is, but it sounds important. So you go, bro.
Yeah.
And then I proceeded to sit here and play Genshin.
You're like, you do you, boo
You
boo.
do you, boo boo. Back to my dailies.
Gotta do my dailies.
My boy's living the dream. My boy is like leathered up, tuxed up, suited up, sipping on wine. And I'm here drinking a Red Bull, running around in anime girl avatar Zach. Who's really living life? Zach. That's right. Get fucked. The
like,
duality of men.
Who's actually winning here? Okay, so for those of you who don't know,
2 different paradises.
yes. For those of you who don't know what Club 33 is, Club 33 is basically a club that Walt Disney started for all of his most important investors into Disney.
Ooh.
And basically what he wanted it to be was an escape from the theme park. And
If I may, isn't 33 like a really significant number? I can't remember the reason,
so
but there was something that tied with Disney, I want to say.
so the interesting thing
Yes.
is, so I'll explain that in a second.
Sure. Go ahead.
So basically what he wanted to do is for all of his important investors who obviously had a lot of money, he wanted these people to be able to have an escape from the park. And so he wanted to make a club, like a high-end club and restaurant for these people.
Okay.
And so basically what happened is Disneyland in and of itself is a dry park. They do not sell alcohol in Disneyland.
Do they not?
No.
I swear they do. Well, I mean, I guess I wouldn't know. Maybe.
So what they had to do is they had to register Club 33 as an actual street address. And the address that they used was 33 Royal Drive. And so that's where the name Club 33 came from.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so basically to get into Club 33 or to get a membership there, I think it is about a $30,000 fee to get put on the waiting list to be brought into Club 33, because you can only be like allowed in, or like you can only be allowed in by existing members.
Right. You have to know somebody.
Right.
It's one of those clubs. The club is not a club unless you know somebody.
Right. And so after that, then it's about $25,000-$30,000 a year to keep going there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, okay. So how did you get in there? Where do you come in, Zach? Because now all of a sudden that Snapchat has way more weight.
So my oldest brother, Bryce, he is a very charismatic man. And he is the guy who knows a guy for pretty much anything.
Good.
And, you know, he has connections to the extent that I don't even know. And so basically one of his old coworkers is now a manager for a celebrity. What was his name? What are you doing?
No, I'm just checking the frame. Don't worry about it. Nobody cares.
So he won America's Got Talent. He's a famous ventriloquist. Like,
okay.
I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but
I know a ventriloquist did win one, so I can imagine. Yeah. So she works for him now, and basically he gives them a membership to Club 33 as like a bonus, as basically a $30,000 bonus. Okay. And so she can allow X amount of people to go every year. And basically Bryce, you know, chatted her up and, you know, managed to get us into Club 33. Nice.
And I want to look something up really quick while I'm talking. But,
go ahead.
So I think one of the craziest things about Club 33 is...
So you found yourself into it's one of those situations where you found yourself somewhere where you shouldn't be, but for this time for a good reason. Wow. Wait, is that so that's an exclusive watch?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the craziest things is that the merchandise that you can get there, you can only really buy there. And so there's this huge market online of just a whole bunch of different watches and a whole bunch of other stuff like that. And, you know, eBay.
And this is like a merch store within that Club 33
district
area, street area thingy.
So
goddamn,
you know, there's this huge market for all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so I decided that I wanted to capitalize on that moment and spend a little bit more money than I was willing to initially. And so what I decided to do was buy a watch.
I see.
From Club 33.
Wow.
And this watch is the exact same as that watch.
Whoo. But that's an upsell, right?
Oh yeah, it's an upsell.
That's an upsell. So how much did this cost?
This one cost me around $350.
Wow. That's like a 125%.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
And this is like a very particular one, and I'm sure that I could probably find one like watch this exact same watch in better shape for, you know, $8, $9, $1,000. It's pretty gnarly.
So are these all like a bought from the merch store, never used, mint condition type thing, or is this like because it looks like it's on a wrist, but not. When maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's in not that great of shape.
I don't know actually.
Well,
it could just be the camera work.
Oh, you know what? I think it's the camera.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. So this is a mint condition type thing. But what if it was used?
That's a great question.
Because is it something that even though it is used, it would still go for more than you previously bought it, as long as it's in a good condition?
Oh, more than likely, yeah.
Okay, so then it's just a good buy in general.
Yeah,
it's a win-win. That's cool.
So basically, when I first got there, like in the walkway going to the restaurant, they have like a little case with a bunch of stuff that you can buy. Okay. And so in that case was this watch, and and immediately I was like, I really want to buy this watch. I don't care how much it costs. Like, this is one of those things I'm gonna hold on to forever. And Kevin ended up beating me to the gun, and he ended up buying it first. And so I just kind of said, fuck it. And I just bought it as well. And then Kevin and I both decided that my oldest brother, Bryce, needed one. And so now all three of us have this exact same watch, which is kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
But also it costs so much money.
Yeah. But then, okay, you got to think about it, right? The type of people that are in that club right now, they're like, oh, watch. Yeah. Let me just reach into my pocket real quick, see if there's some change that left that I forgot to take out. Oh yeah, here's a couple grand that I left from that I accidentally left in my pocket from the laundry. Here you go. I'll take a couple. Watch it. That's the type of people that are there, Zach.
Yeah.
Right. So we talked about this before, right? With the type of people that would go into like a Louis Vuitton, like where Brandon, my cousin, works. And people would just be like, walk in there and and everybody knows they shouldn't be there. This is not the place that they should be. Everything here, even the lowest price thing, is way out of pocket for them. Yeah. And what these stores are really for, like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and all these types of things, is for people that can walk in and if they really want to, buy the whole fucking store. Yeah. You know, that's the type of people that walk in there. And that's such a weird idea to think about for like you and I, for example. Yeah. But like that's just that type of world. So yeah, that is quite a high fidelity watch for us. But I don't know. I mean, but then again, it's you know, it's Walt 33. It's a status item, you know. And I honestly, I don't have any problem with things like status items, like things like Louis Vuitton and Gucci and stuff, because in the grand scheme of things, I mean, in my opinion, that's way cooler. But like,
well, right, and that's the only reason why I spent $400 on a watch.
Sure. But I think if someone were to order things from like Louis or whatever, I mean, there's that kind of tackiness that you and I see of it, where it's like, okay, sure, dude, whatever. But
weird flex, but okay.
But I mean, at a certain point, maybe it's just, you know, hey, I'm here. I'm at a point where I can do it, so I'm gonna do it. I mean, why do people buy cool, expensive cars? You know, what I have a problem with is people doing that and trying to keep claiming that they're broke as shit. You know? Yeah. You know, walking around like, oh man. And I was like, hey, you got me on that gas money or something? Bro, look at your fucking wallet. What did you... Look at that. Bro, look at your bag. Are you fucking kidding me? You're wearing you have a Louis Vuitton fanny pack that cost more than my car. Yeah. Yeah, and... Whoa, what happened here? You know, that's the problem that I have. But that's a bit different than what we're talking about now. Yeah. But the idea of that status symbol, where it's kind of like this badge is a little different, you know. This badge is more of like not necessarily a high, like I have money to throw around. It's like I was part of an important environment. Yeah. You know, I was part of an important picture for a moment. Yeah, and I had a very, very important and rare opportunity to be able to go and do the things that I did. And I think the funny part is that this isn't even the craziest part of that day. All right. Zach's Adventures in Cali Part 3. Part 3. So 3. 3. So, okay. I
I kind of want to set the stage a little bit, give you a little bit of a little bit of context. So
bless you.
Thank you.
No problem.
So there, like we were on the second story, and it was basically this long, narrow hallway, and then it just kind of opened up. Oh, well, I am so sorry. It just kind of opened up into a restaurant. And, you know, this was some of the best food I'd ever had in my entire life. And it was straight up like a 4-course meal. It was fucking gnarly. And as I was walking through for the first time, I noticed that they had a harpsichord.
Oh.
And for the unacquainted, basically what a harpsichord is it is one of the first iterations before they made a traditional piano. And basically the way that a harpsichord works, and I never really knew this until I played one.
You got to play it?
So I really blew it. But instead of like with a regular piano, how the hammer hits the strings, with a harpsichord, there are little hooks under the strings that pluck the strings.
Oh.
And so it's a very, very fascinating instrument to be able to take a look at. And basically in between the courses of this 4-course meal, which in and of itself was really fucking gnarly, I went up to one of the waiters and I was like, hey, listen, I'm a musician. Obviously, I'm covered in music tattoos. I would love to be able to play this harpsichord if I am allowed to. And they were like, sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Whoa. And so basically I went over, and I mean, it was out of tune, which was fine because
it's a display. It's all. It's whatever.
Yeah. And you know, of course it had ivory keys on it. And of course, you know, this instrument in particular was probably, you know, at least 200 years old. And it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever laid my hands on in my entire life. And not only that, so I wrote this little ditty thing. I wrote this little arrangement that I've showed you before, which isn't anything too complicated or too crazy. It's just something of my own, I guess. And so I was sitting there playing it, and I was just kind of like not really paying attention to what was going on around me, because I just kind of figured whatever, you know, everyone's just kind of chilling, bunch of hoity-toity rich people just doing their thing, you know. And so I look up, and I am literally surrounded by every single person who was in that restaurant at that time. And the restaurant was pretty much completely booked for the day. And I was just surrounded by people, and you know, my mom was taking pictures, my oldest brother was taking a video, even though they said absolutely under no circumstances take videos, like don't take videos, and Bryce did. And so I was just surrounded by people, and I was kind of in a state of shock, because I was like, oh shit, like this should be a moment for me, like you guys can go on your merry way, like I am already content here, you know. And to just kind of have everyone around me just like appreciating the fact that I was playing it, and I was actually playing it well. And you know, when I kind of stood up and went to go back to my table, I got like a little clap, and I was like, awesome. I was so fucking confused.
That's so cool. And then you busted out Bunny Girl Senpai, and everyone went crazy.
I wish I knew Bunny Girl Senpai just so I could play it there.
That's awesome. You know, that idea of like public playing is always fascinating me. I mean, we see it all the time, right, on YouTube and stuff, like, you know, public piano playing. Like for me, it'd be like, I'd see all the time playing Unravel or Demon Slayer in a public piano and stuff like that, right? That idea has just been so fun. I've always wanted to do something like that, especially when I don't play it too much anymore, but when I played piano way more often, a couple years ago, I always wanted to do something like that. I mean, not necessarily to draw a crowd, but just to play a public piano, because the idea of just like walking around, seeing a piano and be like, all right, let me just jam out for a bit, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's no musician who will walk around see an instrument that they have used and or played and be like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
I might have to. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I'll go. You know.
Yeah. There is no time that I have ever been a musician where I've either seen a piano or like I've seen like even a guitar, ukulele, you know, stuff like that, where I haven't walked past it and physically resisted the urge of playing it because like I've ended up putting myself in a bunch of really cool situations that way. Club 33, for example.
Right.
And so that kind of idea where you're like, I got 30 minutes. I can have a go.
Well, it's like, okay. No matter what type of musician you are, whether you're outgoing or very shy, there's one thing that puts you into the role of a musician, and it's performing. No matter what. Like I consider I'm not really a flashy person. It's not really my deal. You know, I'll walk around and wear the NWA shirt with an anime girl on it. But as far as things go, you know, I keep things pretty low key, and I'm not the type of person to, you know, I'm not necessarily douchebag, but not put myself in front most of the time because I'm just not a, what's the word?
Extroverted?
I guess that'd be the best way to put it, I guess. Right. Because I imagine, there's plenty of musicians who are very well introverted and more introverted than I am, right?
Right.
But performing is something that puts you into this state of just euphoria, I suppose, for yourself, and also creates this kind of reaction, this kind of chemical, psychological reaction when you finish your performance and you get a round of an applause,
right,
of some sort, right, or some sort of like you've performed. Performing, it's like something that is for someone who isn't a musician is so daunting, right? It's no, we've talked about it way back, freaking Your Lie in April, right? This idea of performing, right, where to someone who doesn't really understand, it's just more akin to like public speaking, right? Like who the hell would want to do that, you know? But when you're a musician and you get to just kind of zone out, play your song, and then get feedback, I mean, you're streaming and you say a funny joke and you farm some LOLs and some Keck W's in chat. What a great feeling that is, Zach.
I guess
a great feeling.
A good way to kind of make it a little bit more, I guess more relatable, because like I completely understand what you're talking about, obviously, because you
are also a music man.
I am performer man. And so it's like when you tell a funny joke when you're like in a Discord call with all your friends and they just start fucking dying laughing.
Yeah, of course.
You know, that feeling of like accomplishment, and even if it's like very, very small, you know, that instant feedback, and then, you know, you're rewarded for this thing that you did, as little or as big as it may be. And so when you talk about performing, and especially kind of like impromptu situations where you weren't expecting to be here doing this thing and now here we are, you know, that kind of moment where you have to flip the switch and go into like performer mode, as casual as it may be, you know, there's still that kind of, the only way that I could describe it is that aura, you know, of like, this is what I'm doing. And like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but for me, it's always been like, I just go completely like head empty. Like every single thing leaves my mind and I'm just focusing on this moment.
Right. You just kind of brain dead yourself. I mean, imagine, okay, here's a good example, right? For the folks at home. So you're at work, right? And you've been at this job for a very long time. However long that is, I guess, up to your range, right? And at a certain point, you no longer really think. Let's say you do customer service, Zach. Someone like me, I experienced this just recently. I could just be on the register in a busy line and just zone out.
Yeah.
And take orders, conversate, and talk, and do whatever, and then be like, Oh, all right.
You zone back in like 20 minutes later, the line's gone, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
Dude, what happened? Dude, I just had a 5-minute conversation with a lady. I don't even know what I said. I don't know what she said. I don't even know what she looked like. I wasn't even awake.
Yeah.
What happened? That idea, right? Or maybe something like, I think we mentioned this before, like you're driving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're driving and you're just doing, you're taking a normal commute to work, maybe to that said job. And you've done it for a while. And all of a sudden you're driving and you go, oh. You kind of pop back in and you realize, dude, I've been driving for 10 minutes and I was completely fucking unconscious.
Okay, not literally.
Well, not unconscious.
Yeah.
But you weren't really like you were. I don't know how. There's some sort of phenomenon that I don't really know about. I should look into it. I don't know how I would start it up. You know that feeling when you're driving but you're asleep, and then as soon as I start that up, my door gets kicked down. FBI opened up. I'm like, no. I was not really asleep, but you know. That idea, right?
Right. I think that's called dissociation.
No, maybe. Is it? I don't know. I prefer the term possession.
Or derealization.
That idea. Because it sounds crazy when I say it out loud, but y'all have experienced it. I know you've experienced it. If you drive and you drive the same commute to work, to school, to your girlfriend's house, your boyfriend's house, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then you just do your drive and then you wake up. Oh, God. Oh, I'm already here. Cool.
Yeah, you pull into the driveway.
Park.
Yeah.
Shit.
You just pull into the driveway and you're like, oh, how the fuck did I make it here alive?
How did I not just drive right through the garage?
Yeah, that idea where your head just kind of goes empty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of different from being very, very present in that moment, you know? Because like from the example that you're talking about, you know, it's like you go off into La La Land and then you go on autopilot and then
yeah, that's a little bit different, but it's the same idea as far as like you close yourself from the outside environment, and I guess in this sense you daydream in a sense, but not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're performing, I mean, I don't know, one can perceive it as daydreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Entering that euphoric state and just doing your thing, and then you snap back into reality after it's finished, you know?
Yeah, it's really interesting because that's a pretty accurate way to put it too. Like, you know, you go from, and it's interesting because from what I've felt throughout my performing career, however long that has been, I don't even know at this point. I kind of have that moment where, and when I've been performing with the church, I found that it's one song. So I go up on stage. Obviously, I'm stressing. I'm sweating bullets.
Of course.
You know, because even after performing for over 10 years, I still get super anxious when I'm on stage initially. And then one song goes by. And then I don't know what the exact thought is, but it's something along the lines of, well, I'm already here, so I might as well have fun while I'm doing it, right? You know, and then I just coast, and then it's just like a lot of fun, and I'm just jamming out.
Yeah,
we're all just having fun.
I mean, you're in front of a bunch of people, right? And then all of a sudden, you're just jamming with your bandmates, right?
Yeah,
you're just having a go, you know, and it's fun. And then you're like, well, shit, it was my time to solo. Let me just fucking nail this real quick, and I'll sit back down. Without even thinking about it. I don't know. Yeah. You know, it's like that idea. And I've seen it in person, you know, and I've seen it in person. I was there too, you know, for a little bit. And it's really interesting. And man, I guess a good way would be to bring it back to your line in April when you look at Kosei, right? Who, I mean, one outside of his performing character is like some nerdy introverted kid, you know? And then he enters that performer mode. And he does what every extrovert tries to, you know, seek after, that reaction. Some nerdy kid with glat.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. It's funny.
Going into it, having no expectations set of me, right? And then just being able to, I guess, impress people, or, you know, to be able to put on a show that people will enjoy.
Right.
You know, that's what I strive to do every single time I walk on a stage, regardless of what I'm doing. You know, I'm just putting on a show and we're just having a time.
Right.
And that ideology, you know, And Your Lie in April did a really amazing job of personifying it in a way that really, really was a accurate kind of emotional representation of what that's like. Because, you know, even in that show, you know, when Kosei was trying so hard to not, like, I guess, drown and make it so that, you know, he couldn't hear the notes anymore, or, you know, he was focusing so much on wanting it to be perfect, that's when he would mess it up. And that moment when you just kind of are in that moment and you're able to rely on the fact that you spent enough time practicing this where you can go through it and not be scared of messing it up or not knowing where you're at or anything like that. And I love how this just ended up being like a performance tangent, but like,
hey, perform it. Try it. Go up on stage. Fuck it. No. But you know, so I think I think streaming is like really the modern day performing, right? The modern day putting yourself in the front lines and just
100%
entertaining, right? Because in a sense, I mean, I guess that's what live performing is as well, right? Just kind of going up and entertaining. And whether you attract a big crowd or not a big crowd, or even a crowd at all, the idea of acting, performing, it can be, you know, daunting. It can depend, right? Because like, oh, should I, you know, let's say you have no one in your chat right now. What should you do? Should you still perform?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. But that's a hard thing to do sometimes. It's a hard thing to kind of wrap your mind around because some, especially, you know, people who are starting out, you know, newsflash, you just start streaming, you don't tell anybody, you're not going to get any viewers. It's just kind of, you know, you're relying on the discovery, and the discovery does do what it does, but sometimes it's hard. And that's okay. Everybody struggles from that. I struggle from that. Zach probably struggles from that. Everybody struggles from that. Discovery is difficult. But that's not what the scope of this is. The scope of this is right now is, what are you doing at this moment? If you are so discouraged that you don't have a performance going, I mean, or you're so discouraged that you don't want to perform, right?
Yeah.
What happens when someone does turn up and you're just like, you know? So there's that part. There's this anime, Zach, right?
Oh boy, here we go.
He's going to talk about anime. It's crazy because he hasn't watched anime in like 5 months.
This fucking guy.
I'm a poser, Zach.
Call yourself a weeb.
It's called Love Live. Have you heard of it, Zach?
I have not.
You haven't. So it's an idol anime. It's one of the, not OG idol animes, but it's like the idol anime, I would say, other than like Idol Master or something like that, right? Love Live. If some people, they're listening right now, they know Love Live. Love Live was like the idol anime that made idol anime explode. Well, I guess Idol Master as well, but let's just say Love Live is a big one, right? And the one that's still going on as well. There was one particular scene in, I think, the first or so episodes. So basically what happens is that these 3 girls, they form an idol group, like for their club, for their high school club, and they do performance, and they have all these, you know, moments and such, the first couple episodes, and they have these moments of trying to recruit people. It's not really working out, all this and all these troublesome things, and they're like, you know what, let's just do it. They find a resolve and they just perform, and they perform for 0 people in the auditorium, and they kill it. They do their choreography, they're sweating, they're singing and everything, and then like that was it, and they had a good time, and it was great. That's kind of the energy that performing ends up being, because it doesn't end up, the reason why I'm bringing this example anyways is because it ends up not necessarily being about that audience reaction. The audience reaction will be there, and hopefully it will end up being there at some point. But for now, it's about performing for yourself, performing for a video, performing for nobody, performing for your tutors, music tutors, your peers, performing for an audience, performing for a dome. Whatever it is, all of those end up being performing in general. So whatever the audience is, who cares? You can't see the audience anyways, Zach. They're blacked out. There's no lights on them. Maybe the house lights comes on after they clap or whatever, but sorry. But they're not there. That's what happens when you're up on stage. You don't see the audience. Maybe like the second row at most, first or second row. But you know, it's so dim and dark, you don't even pay attention to them because you're too busy performing.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, that art just kind of becomes the main reason. You know, I was talking before about wanting that reaction, and that still is important. But to get to that reaction is more of a result of how lost you got into that performance, I suppose, and how well you're able to perform while entering that euphoric state. Because some of the greatest times I had while being at WSU was just hanging out on the grand piano, just playing whatever, doing my thing, and then I get a couple claps, you know, and I'm like, oh, thanks, bro. And then, you know, and everybody just, you know, hey, cool. And then they go back to doing their homework or talking or whatever, you know, while they're in the auditorium and or doing whatever, or lecture hall or whatever, just doing their thing.
The idea of just kind of dance like nobody's watching. You know, I found, and I've spent a lot of time on stage playing, and I've spent a lot of time off stage playing. And the enjoyment that I get out of both of them is pretty similar. Just like the act of playing, like I enjoy it just as much by myself in my room, just hanging out, having a time.
Of course.
And performing in front of, you know, 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people, whoever. It's just I don't know. I think the energy change, you know, like I suppose when you're going from a very secluded, isolated feeling to like you can just feel the energy of all the people around you, and like, you know, you're able to really feed off of that too. And that's a lot of fun. And like playing songs and having people sing along too, there's something special about that.
Oh yeah, of course.
There is just something so cool about that.
You know what I was you know the NPR Tiny Desk concerts?
Yeah.
Dude, I just for no reason, right? First of all, I love them, of course, but just for no reason at all, I just found myself like just one night. It's just a cool, you know, 2 a.m. As one might, you know, be just gallivanting around doing his thing, just in 2 a.m, fighting sleep because I'm an insomniac, but I refuse to admit it. Woo! And then I'm just like, I get recommended it because, you know, the robots control my media watching experience, Zach, and I'm okay with that.
The robots control my life.
And I'm okay with that. And I get recommended one. I can't remember which one it was. It was probably a really popular one. I don't know. And I'm just, you know, I forget just how fun it is to watch because, I mean, a lot of times when it comes to like music, right? Sometimes there's that idea of just putting it on, close, you know, and then just not, you know, it's not a viewing experience necessarily. You're just kind of listening and you're vibing, and it's a great time, right? I always have music playing these days. You know, if I'm doing basic things, Zach, there's no like time where one of my AirPod Pros is not in one of my ears, just listening to music,
right? Or
listening to a YouTube video, or I don't know, just listening, right? Just having that background feed. But as I'm watching these Tiny Desk concerts, and the idea of it is by the way perfect. So if you guys don't know, NPR Tiny Desk concerts, you guys probably know because it's just huge, right?
They just fucking bop.
It's just a jam session, Zach.
Yeah.
But with really high profile names. But it's a jam session. Like you can see like people like T-Pain and stuff, and people like Tyler the Creator. But it's not like I don't know, a studio session. Like it's a band. Like they have strings and they have guitar and piano and drums and stuff. And it's like it's almost like a jazz session. Like a jam, like a jazz jam session where it's just like, all right, let's play a couple songs and let's have a time. And it's so intimate. And to my understanding, I watched recently this Usher one. And that one was actually pretty recent. And it has like a 6 or 7 million views because it's Usher. And it was like, I think it was one of the first times where, because he joked around like, do y'all ever like turn the camera around and see the audience? And then they flip the camera around. I don't know, maybe it was planned or staged or whatever. And there was like maybe 20 people or so, like just not even like a huge crowd, just like 20 or so people just standing there, just huddled around, you know, in this little office. And to me, that idea is just so cute. It's so intimate. It's so wholesome,
right?
You know, it's just like, there's just this, it's like, it's not even Usher right now. It's just some band
Yeah.
And they're just having a jam sesh. And people are walking by and just kind of watching. And he's having fun and he's interacting with the crowd and stuff and talking and such and interacting with his band and popping. It's like a club closed jam session, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I imagine. But it's so weird to think of like Usher and Tyler the Creator and T-Pain and Alicia Keys and just these high octane people in that setting, right?
Yeah.
But that is when, you know, I'm just sitting there and, dude, I'm just gonna watch this. Like, this is music. I can put it in the back of my head and do whatever. I can play Genshin while I'm listening to this. But no, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and watch. And I'm gonna experience this vibe, this energy that's happening. Right? And that's kind of that experience and the vibe that you kind of seek out for as a performer. Because, I don't know, in my mind, like, I'm sure if you're someone like Usher, performing at something like a fucking dome is probably sick as hell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. I'm sure it's fantastic.
100%.
You know, like I'm sure that doesn't even need to be said. But there's just something about that idea of that really intimate, just club like jam sesh experience, or he probably had a time as well. Even someone like Usher, someone like T-Pain, someone like Tyler the Creator. I don't know. And it's just like, this is fun, and I'm just gonna sit here and experience it as the audience. And as a performer, I can imagine. You know, I'm having fun. Let's do one more song, you know, like we're having fun here. It's great. That's what I imagine. And that's kind of where you end up seeking yourself to be as a performer, because someone like Usher, who probably sells out stadiums, found himself in a tiny claustrophobic office with like 20 people. Mm-hmm. And he still had a time.
He's still...
That's not even 1%, Zach.
Oh yeah. It's so interesting to look at those, like the broad range of performing, you know, and when you bring up the Tiny Desk performances, I just think of like there was a handful of times where I played at Barnes and Noble with some people. I don't remember if it was middle school, high school, like what band we were in or anything like that. But we were just playing at Barnes & Noble, you know, people knew that we were going to be there, and, you know, maybe there was like 20, 25, 30 people, right? You know, and we were all just having a time, and everyone was like just vibing. And, you know, we ended up having a similar situation where we were like, man, let's play one more song. Yeah. You know, and it's just that environment in and of itself is just so captivating. Because not only do you get that immediate feedback like we were talking about before, but also, you know, being able to see their reaction as well, and being able to see, you know, we have a back and forth going on right now, and, you know, both of us are just having a grand old time, and it's just really fun. Like, we're just having fun. And that's just one of the coolest things. 'Cause, like, you know, when you think of like a Super Bowl performance or something like that, you know, where it's so massive that it's impossible to even quantify what's going on, you know. And like, I've had performances that have been like that, you know, like the ASL show, that was the biggest show I'd ever done at that time. Yeah. And, you know, I still think about it like just that there were so many people that I was just kind of like overwhelmed, and I just kind of like acted like they didn't exist because I couldn't see them.
I mean, yeah, you can't see them, right? But in this, I mean, in a sense, they're still really dimmed out. But it's like, say, like at the end of the Tyler the Creator one I was watching, right? The Tyler the Creator Tiny Desk concert that they did. It's like, he's a goofy guy, you know. Oh yeah, he's a goofy guy, and it's fun. It's a great time, you know, and everybody's having a lot of fun. And he's doing his song, like one of his first song, and he's just like, okay, let's just start. Let's just bring some random words in, or who's what's your name? Nana in this motherfucker, you know, like instead of having fun with the crowd. And at that very end, they started they have this moment where they're just like, they introduce themselves, but in like a introduce yourself and say a fun fact or something like that, like something corny like that, right? And it's just like, and then he's chatting with the audience, and it's just it's such a very like, yeah, like an intimate moment, right? So it's very different. But even someone like Tyler, who, you know, sells out shows, stadiums and such, you know, can have this much fun at a small show like this. So the reason why I bring this up, and, you know, the Usher stuff, and, you know, and all that type of things, where these high fidelity type people who sell out domes and such. Have a fun time in this small office of 20, 30 people, which probably makes up like 0.001% of a dome.
Right.
So let's round that to 0. So you should be able to have fun if you're streaming to 0.
Yeah.
You can do it because you need to have fun. If you're not having fun, then how is the audience not going to have fun? You look at the people at the Tiny Desk concert, and Tyler's having fun, Usher's having fun, T-Pain's having fun. Everybody's having fun. So, you know, you got to have fun. You got to be, because as the person of the hour, if you're not having fun, then who's going to have fun, right? You need to radiate that energy. So in your stream, I don't know, I guess it's turned into some sort of message to streamers who are smaller, quote unquote, and, you know, are discouraged about streaming. Just stream, you know, and you'll find the regulars here, you know, and they'll pop in and out. And, you know, I like to imagine like this Tiny Desk concert or something, right? And there's just people in this office, this building or whatever. They just come by, they watch for a bit, and then they leave and go back to work or something, right?
Yeah.
And people go in and out, in and out. Like a Twitch stream. Like a Twitch stream.
Yeah.
You know,
it's so hard to explain. And with streaming in particular, you know, the reason why I stopped streaming on Twitch isn't because nobody watched. You know, it's just because I wasn't really enjoying playing the games as much as I had previously. And, you know, I think it was like summer of 2020 was like the golden age of the Goon Squad streams. Sure. Because like, you know, every night there would be at least 4 of us up until 6 a.m., you know, playing CSGO, hide and seek, and just like having a really fun time. And, you know, I was telling you before we started recording today that I had Alec over yesterday and we were just watching old Twitch clips and just a bunch of old footage and just dying laughing, because that's what it was all about for us. We were just trying to capture these really funny, stupid moments to save for later.
I think that point of documentation, I was talking about this with Cameron because Cameron, we bring him up a couple of times, a buddy of ours, and we'll have him on the show sometime. And he got back into streaming because he wanted to stream before. It just never really worked out, but now I think he has more time, although he's kind of doing work and schoolish, but he wants to start doing so. And, you know, he's been getting into Genshin really hella. It's really funny. He's turned into quite the weeb, Zach.
That makes me so
He's
happy.
transformed incredibly and so fast. I have no clue how. But anyways, he wants to like stream stuff like Genshin and stuff, you know, because he's been playing it. And, you know, I haven't joined the stream yet, but generalizing him with that same pool of smaller creators with just starting out or hasn't really applied themselves too much yet. And, you know, they may not draw the biggest crowd, but, you know, I mean, I'm sure it doesn't affect him, but just in general, I'm sure it will at some point because it happens to everybody. And the important thing that I had to, you know, that I have to mention is that honestly, it's like just documenting the experience. Because let's say you're playing a video game, Zach. You're playing a video game, a story mode of some sort. And I don't know, something funny happens. Something funny in the dialogue happens and you fucking die.
Corpse launch.
Yeah, you fucking lose it. That would be so funny to look back at.
Yeah.
Right? And there's so many moments where, like, even for me when I'm playing Genshin or whatever, right?
Right.
And every now and then, I don't know, something funny would happen. You know, like that. I lose my shit, Zach. I'm on my bed playing on my iPad, just losing my shit, Zach, right? And like, that would have been so funny if I was streaming.
Right.
And even if I wasn't necessarily entertaining a crowd, just to have that documented, so I can just to have it there. So whatever I want to do about whatever I want to look back at, whatever I do with it, maybe I never look back at it, but it's just so funny that I could look back at it. And it's just like, that's the most important part for me, because I mention all the time, you know, there's this weird balance that you need to make about, you know, having fun playing games, not just to stream.
Right.
You know, and it's hard. It's a hard balance, and I try and fight that myself. These days, I haven't been streaming too much. If anything, I stream more keyboard things. We can talk about that in a bit if we want.
Which is sick.
Yeah. But you know, streaming things like Genshin and all that type of stuff, I kind of didn't stop doing, but I've started to play. Just say fuck it. You know, I'm not streaming at the moment. I don't need to. Let's just play some Genshin. Get in a Discord call. You know, just hang out, do some quests and whatever the fuck, you know, whether that be Genshin.
Gotta do them dailies.
Gotta do the dailies, Zach, the weeklies, the monthlies.
Yeah.
The yearlies. There's no yearlies. I mean, I guess in a sense there is. And it sucks, sure, that I can't just, I can't record some of the funny moments or like some funny quirky dialogue that acts that or some joke that wasn't really that funny, but it was so stupid that I laughed or something like that. And I can't really capture that moment. I can't recall, or I can recall that moment myself, and that's fine. But I really wish I could look back into it. Like this is one scene in Genshin where this is not gonna make any fucking sense to you. Like, don't worry about it. But there's a guy, you're following a guy and he has a mask, and then he explains how important the mask is, and then your partner Paimon, who's a little small winged character, who I should have a plushie of, but I don't. And
sacrilege.
And then she goes, "What do you think a mask is like so important, or whatever?" And then the camera pans, and then all of a sudden your character has a mask on, and I'm like, "This is so stupid, Zach." Right? This absolutely makes no fucking sense to you, to anybody listening. But I fucking lost it because it was so stupid. I lost it. And there's no documentation of it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man. But at the same time, I don't know. It's hard. It's a balance. And you got to figure that balance out. But I think it's something that I've begun to try not to think about too much. Want to stream it? I stream it. If I don't want to stream it, it's all good. But for those who are going to stream it,
mm-hmm.
you have those moments to share. I mean, that's why people take pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
For the photo books and the stuff and the collages.
Yeah, I mean, considering the hobbies I have, I am keen on capturing moments and whatnot. Because, photo man, I have cameras behind me still. And that was all that streaming really was for me for the longest time. And I didn't really worry about engagement or anything like that.
My light turned off.
Now Arthur is very dim.
Shit.
Capturing moments was always kind of what I did it for. And then, it turned into me wanting to like get clips of me doing stupid shit or, me actually being good at video games every once in a while. And it just kind of ebbed and flowed and changed over the course of, the year and a half that I was doing it or so. And, now I don't want to just stream games to stream. Like, I want to be able to have fun. And like, that's why I was talking about getting the Goon Squad streams back going. Cause, it's one of those situations where we just radiate off of each other. It's a
jam sesh, Zach.
Yeah.
It's a jam sesh.
It's one of those situations where we are just vibing off of each other, bouncing ideas off of each other, doing stupid shit, no clipping around in CS:GO hide and seek as an alien, and just like having a grand old time.
Well, one of my favorite YouTubers I still watch, by the way, is like KY Speedy.
Oh my gosh, I love them.
Of course I still watch them. And the greatest thing is that thanks to the whole Among Us boom, right? All sorts of all sorts of different YouTube groups, if you will, just started collabing with each other.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool. Like, this is the KR Speedy and the crew people with the Vanos people and with this people and that people and that. But like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
This is so cool, right? And then what that kind of ended up doing was that I'm sure they're all kind of friends before, but what that did was that now they're all this big group, and I still watch them play Among Us and stuff, and I watch them play other games and stuff. And these days, they stream together, and they have that energy that they radiate from each other, and it's hilarious. It's great, but that's if you have to decide that that's kind of where you want to sit yourself at, because there's also the spectrum of like the solo Let's Players and such, right? And I think that, in my opinion, they can do both, but I agree that sometimes you have to figure out which one you want to lean towards. Sometimes it's kind of depends on how you want to view yourself as a creator. But I can see some people where the situation or the vibe, I suppose, might be different. Now, of course, you can minimize that because, for example, KR Speedy, like I mentioned, I've watched tons of videos of him just playing video games by himself. It's fine. It's all good. So it's, I don't know. It's just if that's what you want to stream, right? If you want to just play the single player games and such by yourself, then that's fine. And then if you want to play with the goons and stuff, say, hey, let's stream it. Let's have some fun. Let's have a time. Whether we're interacting with chat or not or whatever, let's just perform, Zach.
Yeah.
Let's have a time. And by performing, I mean have a time, Zach. By performing, I mean having fun.
Yeah. And that's one of the most fun situations that you can be put in, is where it's super impromptu, right? Like we were talking about, where you walk up to a piano that's just sitting on the side of the street or something, and you just decide you want to sit down and play it. And then, you know, you end up having an experience that is very unique. And I think that that's one of the things that is so captivating for a lot of people, and you know, that can make you want to capture that moment even more, is just that idea of just how unique this moment is, you know. And for that Club 33 example that I was talking about earlier, I was just playing because I had never played that instrument before. And then people just started coming. And then I looked up and there were just people everywhere. And I was just super confused. And I was like, how long have you guys been here? Like, oh. And, you know, I was talking to my mom after the fact. I think it was after we had left Club 33. And she was like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure every person who was in the restaurant was watching. I was like, oh. And you know the demographic of people who were in that restaurant, you know. It's like, oh.
You should have had your hat down and someone would have tipped you like $5,000.
They're like,
let me just give you some of this my spare change that was in my pocket from the laundry. A couple grand. Here you go, Sonny. Buy yourself a lollipop
or a car. Yeah, just have a cashier's check for 10 grand.
You know the vibes. Come on.
Nah, whatever.
You know. Hope we all long to be there one day. It's okay. Or maybe not. I don't know. But you can long to find yourself in the description, so you can like the video and subscribe and check out ourselves, me and Zach. Check out our socials, and thank you guys, everybody. Where's my camera? Well, thank you for. I honestly I get really confused these days. New set, new vibe, Zach. Yep. I can't wait for everybody to see the couch.
The casting couch.
The casting couch has returned. Well, not really. It's more like a casting love couch, or a side couch, or like a
making love couch.
Maybe, but it's too short. Well, too short people can have a fun time. It's all good. But it's a safe haven because Poyoyo is there, Zach. And you guys will meet Poyoyo soon.
They've met Poyoyo.
They have met Poyoyo. But Poyoyo will return. Thank you guys, everybody. Thank you guys, everybody. Thank you, everybody, guys. And we'll see you guys for future episodes of the new set. I'm super excited to film in here, Zach. It's so fun.
I know.
It's been fun to stream just so I can finally push my chair back, Zach, and not hit a bookshelf. It's fantastic. I just love being in here now that the space is less claustrophobic.
Yeah. I think just kind of giving this new breath of fresh air to this space too just allows us to be a lot more creative as well. And like my side of the set looks fucking sexy. And like, you know, I was saying earlier, this is like what I imagine like my end game set to look like. And it's just like this now. You know, we're kind of in a position where we can really start to do some really cool stuff. And, you know, we can move around and I can just get up from my chair and just be like, fuck it. I'm going to Arthur's set now.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you could have done this before, but yep, there you go. Okay. Thank you guys, everybody. We're going to stick with that. Thank you guys, everybody. And we see you later, everybody, guys.
Love your face.
Peace out.
Girl Scout. I don't know.